I stumbled across a post last week, and it caught my attention because it had to do with money. And most of you know I'm a financial coach, and that's my language. So I I saw this post and it was pretty interesting. The question was which of the three options you would choose. A is an 850 FICO score. B was $2 million in one shot, just a one shot of $2 million, and C was $4,000 per week for the rest of your life. Thankfully, most of the answers said C, but as I was scrolling through the answers, many of them said A, and some of them said B. So I wanted to talk through that, and it was quite an eye opener to see that people would choose an 850 FICO score over $2 million. And it just shows you how most Americans are conditioned to worship this FICO score, for lack of a better word, but to really put this FICO above a $2 million hit or $4,000 a week guaranteed income. I know this is all hypothetical and it's not reality, but kind of the answers to these questions unveils the true core beliefs that we have. So this one girl, listen, bless her heart. If you're listening to this message, this is not personal, so don't take it personal. Uh, I mean this with love and true sincerity that I want to help people like you through this to understand what FICO is and kind of unveiling this. So she chose 850, and her answer was, if I had 850 FICO score, I can get whatever I want. So as to think like the FICO was going to pay her mortgage, or her FICO score was going to pay her car payment of whatever she wanted. And it just shows you that this concept of, I have to build my credit score at all cost. People are drawn to this credit score, and it's just like a dog chasing his own tail. The only way to increase your score is by getting into debt, right? To using credit. So it's really a debt score. It's not a credit score. It's really a debt score. If you think about it, the way FICO is calculated is based only on debt. How long you've been in debt, right? What amount of debt you have in comparison to the credit line on that debt. How often do you apply for debt? And how are you on time paying your debt? So these four areas, is based on solely debt. So essentially, you could have an 800 score, an 800 FICO score, and still be losing with money. And I say that because I have many clients, who have 800 FICO scores, 745 FICO scores, 815 FICO scores, and many of them are broke. I'm not saying all of them are. I would say that for the most part, people are doing okay if they have that credit score. But it's not a direct correlation to winning with money. You see, there's no test to how much wealth, what their net worth is. Are they building wealth? It could be you have zero in savings and nothing built up in equity, no investments, no real estate. I mean, you can't. There's no true factor on just simply looking at a credit score to tell you if someone's winning with money. But for the most part, most people think that if I just get this credit score, I'll be okay, right? So, the credit score alone really does nothing for you. If you think about it, the only reason why you need a good credit score is if you want more debt. Think about that. The only reason if that you want a great credit score is if you want more debt. I'm at a point where I don't use credit cards anymore. I mean, very infrequently. I mean, it's not like an everyday thing. The cars that I have are paid in cash in full, and I have no intent on leasing or buying another car, financing another car. When this car goes, I'm saving up for the next one in cash, right? That's our model. That's our philosophy. We're not, taking on any more credit card debt. We have zero credit card debt. We're not taking on any loans, any personal loans. So what the ironic part of it is that since I paid off all my debt, I have a great credit score. My credit score is 800. But the ironic part is I don't need it. It really means nothing to me because I'm not interested in taking on more debt. I'm more concerned at this stage of my life on building wealth. But we've been told at very young that your FICO score is everything. And what it's doing to most Americans is putting them in a place where they're taking on more debt than needed. They're relying on debt for emergency funds like credit cards. They're using it and it's eating away from our future, eating away from building true wealth. So kind of changing that mindset is like a paradigm shift where, we've been told all this our life. Think about your grandparents. Your grandparents didn't rely on FICO score to survive. They did okay. They were able to manage without a FICO score. But no, we need a FICO score now to win with money. It makes completely no sense. And I guarantee those of you that are listening to the video and saying, hey, I get points and miles on my card and I pay the card in full, so I'm paying no interest. I guarantee that you're overspending. Somewhere or another, you're overspending because you're using card. It's almost impossible to track, and you're doing a reverse budget where you're spending the money and then realizing that it's a couple grand that you're paying off out of savings, or you're keeping on as debt and paying over time. You're financing your vacations, financing this and that. Emergency comes up, you're using credit card. So, and are we justified because we're getting points and we're getting, we're increasing our credit score. In the meanwhile, we're stealing away from our future because the same amount of money that can be going towards your debt could go towards building wealth, right? The same amount. Think about if you had no debt at all. How much more money could you save? How much money could you invest? How much more money could you give, right? We're trapped because we have this amount, and as long as we have these debts, we're a slave to them. We work for them because part of our paycheck goes towards paying debt. So I want to get to my point across that I'm trying to get is that we have to release ourselves from this notion that we have to constantly build this credit score and feed the debt monster in order to build it. We can get through this essentially without truly focusing on getting into debt to build a score. So it brings me to option B. The option B was $2 million one shot. Most of you, and most Americans, if you were given $2 million and you didn't earn it, you were just given to it, you would blow through it and you would be broke in 5 years. And there's statistics that prove this. There's a study shown on lottery winners who won the lotto. These are lottery winners that won $1 million or more. And 90% of them were broke in 5 years. Why? Because they did not earn it. They didn't put the equity into that building wealth. They didn't put the sacrifice and the work ethic and put a plan together. You see, when you build wealth and you have a plan to build wealth, you're more likely to keep it. It's like the story of the tortoise and the hare, right? The tortoise wants to take shortcuts. He wants to try to beat the tortoise in his own sneaky ways. He's trying to look for ways to do things faster. And in the end, the tortoise wins. Why? Because the tortoise was diligent. The tortoise was focused. And he knew it was a long-term plan. It wasn't an overnight success kind of deal. And when we don't earn something, we typically lose it. So my suggestion is that you have a plan. Plan to become debt-free, and then a plan to really build wealth, whether it's going to be in your retirement account, through real estate, whatever that is, you should have a plan. If you don't have a plan, then your priority right now is to get a plan. And if you need help getting a plan, then there's people like me that can help people put together a plan. So for me, option C is the right answer, $4,000 a week. Because that, think about that, $4,000 a week, that's somewhere around $170,000 a year. If you just take that number without earning any interest, you'll have your $2 million in about 10 years. If you live more than 10 years, then you're even in a better position. If you invested this money, the $4,000 a week, you'll be in a better position. I just want to throw this out there because it's interesting how people think about money and how they think about their FICO score. And there's all these myths and misconceptions out there about money that we're just conditioned to think because we were told the wrong thing. And what's feeding this is the institutions that are making money on us by keeping us in debt. And it's crazy how we can finance anything these days. We can finance a dog, if you wanted to finance a dog. It's really, comical, how much they push this button of us financing everything. And I think the justification that a lot of us have is that we work hard and we deserve it. My saying is that you only deserve it when you have the cash to pay for it. So let's wake up out of this. Let's really have a plan to build wealth. It starts with changing your mindset. It starts with owning and being responsible for truly having a plan and building wealth, and taking this misconception of staying in debt and being in debt to build a FICO score that's only going to be there to keep us in debt. Because at the end of the day, I want for all of you is to be in a place where you don't need that. You have a fully funded emergency fund, right? If you had an emergency, you have the savings for it. You're building wealth. You're buying things with cash or a debit card that has cash in there. You're no longer living with the future being stolen from you because you have these 10 debts that are just stealing money from your pocket, and instead of you reinvesting that money, you're taking these couple $100 or $1,000 or $2,000 and you're giving it away to MasterCard, Visa, your car payment, everything that we can, take these same dollar amounts, and if we just invested it, we would all be millionaires, in 20 years. So I hope this helps. I hope this changed your mindset a little bit, and feel free to leave a comment below.